so it's going to be uploaded. But for those, I see the 7 attendees here, so you don't need to write the webinar synopsis. Okay, so I'm going to be going over deviance and crime presentation today with you, but beforehand I have several announcements. One of them is today is your second exam, so it's already up on Moodle. Please take your time and take your exam, and it will be remaining open until Sunday night, 11:59. Make sure you only have one attempt, and you're given 40 minutes to complete your questions. Make sure you all have good internet connection and battery or electricity, whatever is needed to take your test. Because if it shuts down in the middle of the test, probably it's not going to resume. So it's just going to submit it, whatever it is. So make sure you have everything ready before you guys take the test. You have time until Sunday night to complete your test. I mean, it's just like one attempt, so if you take it, that's it. But it's going to remain open over the weekend. This is one, and I have been grading your discussion questions, and you guys are doing great. And please continue like this and respond to each other. Have a good live discussion with each other as well. In addition to that, I see some of you submitted already. There are assignments about race and ethnicity and the family, right? You're going to watch the video and complete the assignments. Those assignments will be graded at the end of the semester because I'm going to be considering them extra credit. So when I calculate all of your final grade, so if your final grade is going to be like, so for example, 83, each one of them is going to be considering 1% of your overall grade, so it's going to be affecting 1 point towards your overall final grade. If it's 83, it's going to be 84 when you complete your assignments. Other than that, that's what my announcements for today. Let me go over on this chapter. If you guys have any questions, the video exercise are on the weeks. For example, when you open up the Moodle, let me open up to you so you can look at from the advance. You can follow it here from the screen. Okay, let's go to Moodle. Let me see if you see. You can all follow it, right? So we're on the Moodle now. You're coming up. Okay, so we're on the Moodle, right? So when we go ahead on the Moodle, you can see, for example, one of them is a class divided worksheet, right? This is one of them. It's under March 4th through 10th week. And the other one is Two American Families, which is under this week's. So these are the video exercises that you're supposed to be doing and submitting up to me. Other than that, there is not any other. So you only have these two opportunities as an extra credit, okay? It's under March 25th through 31st week, and also it's under March 4th through 10th week. Is it clear? Say it more. Great, okay. So let's talk about deviance, crime, and social control. Okay. So deviance, you know what the deviant behavior is. Deviance and crime and their social control, these are very important and the major topics in sociology. Deviance is any behavior or a belief or a condition that violates significant social norms in the society or groups in which it occurs. Deviance can be as minor as picking up your nose in the public or as major as murder, right? And it is a formal property of social situations and social structure. It is relative and in its degrees of seriousness. So deviance is a very interesting topic. It's a socially constructed phenomena as well. So what I mean with that, the behavior in itself is not deviant. The society puts the meaning on that behavior, whether it's going to be a deviant or not, right? For example, gay marriages in the past, especially in the early 1990s, were considered as a deviant behavior. 68% of the population were considering it as a deviant behavior. But when we look at in 2016 the statistics, only 37% of the population considered the gay marriages as a deviant behavior. So the behavior, the deviance, and the meanings of the deviant, or whether the behavior is considered as a deviant or not, changes over time and changes over cultures as well. How about the social norms? Because it's highly related. Deviance is highly related with the social norms, right? Any behavior is violating the social norms, we consider it as a deviant behavior. And not all deviant behaviors are we consider as a crime, right? Some of them, such as like theft, larceny theft, or murder, or or arsony, are considered as the criminal behavior, and they're also deviant behavior. But again, not all of these deviant behaviors are considered as crime. But what we really define the deviance as any actions or a behavior which violates the social norms. So what are the social norms? Social norms or mores are the rules of behavior that are considered acceptable in a group or society. People who do not follow these norms may be shunned or suffer some kind of consequences, whether being marginalized from the society or isolated from the society. Norms change according to the environment or situation and may change or be modified over time, such as divorce. In the past, when I talk about on 30s or the 40s in the United States, divorce was considered as a deviant behavior, but now it's a very normal behavior. But when we look at the more traditional societies, divorce is still considered as a deviant behavior. So some form of deviant behavior are officially defined as a crime. What is a crime? Crime is a behavior that violates criminal law and is punishable with fines, jail terms, or other sanctions. All societies have norms that govern acceptable behavior and mechanisms of social control. Social control is a systematic practice that's developed by social groups to encourage conformity and to discourage deviance, such as the criminal justice system, prisons, jails are there as a social control system, right, in order to discourage the society to be involved in any deviant behavior. Social control is a concept that refers to the ways in which people's thoughts, feelings, appearance, and behavior are regulated in social systems. In order for society to function properly and harmoniously, social control systems have an important place. One way to make sure that the social control is happening is through coercion, right? From imprisoning those who commit a crime to physicians administering drugs that make difficult patients more manageable. Social control is mainly done through socialization, in which people come to identify with a social system and its values and norms, thereby acquiring a stake in maintaining those values and norms. How about studying deviance? Criminology is the systematic study of the crime and the criminal justice system, including police, courts, and prisons. Criminologists, most of the criminologists are sociologists. Actually, the criminal justice system and criminology has been as a sub-discipline of sociology later on, especially criminal justice became a separate discipline. So when we talk about these social control systems and the deviance, we need to also be looking at why the deviant behavior is happening, right? In order to be able to understand why deviance is occurring in the societies, we're going to be looking at three important paradigms in sociology: structural functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. According to functionalists, structural functionalists, and we know that Emil Durkheim, this guy on the picture, this is our guy. His name is Emil Durkheim. He is considered as the father of structural functionalism as a perspective in sociology. What he said that, especially if all of the structural functionalists have this perspective, if an institution or if a reality is happening in a society, and if it keeps happening in the society, that means that they must have a function for the society and society's balance and equilibrium. Emil Durkheim regarded deviance as a natural and inevitable part of all societies. What he did, he looked at all of the societies throughout the human origin, and he said, we always have the deviance, right? In the past we had the deviance, and still we have the deviance. So we still have the deviance. That means that it should have a function. And it has an important function, right? It should serve for certain functions. And he came up with these three functions. One of them is deviance clarifies the roles, right? Who is the deviant and who are the conformists? Who are really conforming to social norms and mores, and who is not really conforming to the social norms and the mores? Then we can easily differentiate these two. It also clarifies, it also helps us to define the social norms. If we didn't have any deviant behavior, then we were not going to be able to define the social norms and the mores. Deviance also unites the groups, right? The society, especially let's think about the rural societies, or just like German shift societies, where people know each other. There are a lot of face-to-face intimate relationship, and if a deviant behavior occurs in these societies, the society is going to be isolate and marginalize the deviant behavior and the people who are being involved in deviance, and the rest of the society will unify together. So it really helps to unite the society against the deviance. Deviance also promotes the social change, right? We have a lot of examples for it in the society and throughout the human history, such as like civil rights movements or feminist space, like first feminist space, right? Women suffragists. Through them, women were allowed to vote. So we see the deviants, and they all have functions in the societies as well. And functionalists also says that everyone may be tempted to be deviant at any time. Anticipation of consequences may stop us, right? We know that, okay, if I am being involved in a deviant behavior, I might have some consequences, so that's okay. I'm just going to stay away from the deviant behavior. And there are different mechanisms of control against the deviant behavior. One of them is attachment, according to Durkheim. People's attachment to people or institutions help them to get discouraged, to be involved in a deviant behavior. Opportunities, right? If the people have opportunities, if they have a job, if they have a family, then they're to achieve, and if they have the goals to achieve, then they are most likely not going to be, or going to be discouraged to be involved in a deviant behavior. Also, involvement, like activities, being busy, keeps the people away from the deviance. And the belief, especially like the belief systems, if the people are part of any church, if they are devout Muslims or Christians or Jews, they are least likely to be involved in a deviant behavior. People may deviate because there is nothing to stop them, right? If the people do not have any of these, then they're most likely going to be involved in a deviant behavior. Underneath the functionalism, we have strain theory by Robert Merton. Robert Merton, he is a famous sociologist, and then he studied about the deviant behavior, and he came up with this strain theory. According to him, people feel strain when they're exposed to cultural goals that they are unable to obtain because they do not have access to culturally approved means of achieving those goals. So according to Merton, if there is any gap between the culturally approved goals and the cultural means to achieve those goals, then those people are most likely going to be involved in deviant behavior than the other people who has more means to be able to achieve their culturally appropriate goals. Such as, like, let's think about, what is the most culturally appropriate goal is financial security or financial success, right? So in order to be financially successful, what should a person be doing? They need to really go to four-year colleges, gain good education so that they can find a good job. What if the people don't have the money to be able to go to college? Or maybe there is not any habit of the persons around people in that environment that they are going to college. So there is not enough means to be able to go to college for that person. And that person either is going to be looking for a deviant means to be able to achieve this culturally appropriate goal, or going to totally reject it. And he came up with, based on his strain theory, he came up with 5 ways in which people adapt to cultural goals and approved ways of achieving them. We have people who are being conformist. We have people who are being innovator, ritualist, retreatist, or rebellious. The conformist people are not really the deviant people. The conformist people who accept both cultural goals and appropriate cultural means to achieve those goals, such as like you guys. Why you all go to college, right? Because you just want to have a good paid job, right? So most of us are conformists. We approve that yes, there is a culturally approved goal, and yes, there are the ways to achieve those goals, and we're just going to be following those approved ways to achieve our goal. Second one are innovators. Innovators, they accept the culturally approved goals, such as like they accept that, yes, I need to be financially successful, but they don't accept the culturally approved means to achieve this goal. For example, they say, no, I'm not going to go to school in order to find a good job. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a lot of money, but from another base, such as like I'm going to be a drug dealer, or I'm going to rob the bank, and I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be rich, but not through schools or not through education, not through like climbing up the ladders that are accepted by the culture. We call them innovators. So they approve the goal, but they don't approve the means. The third group is ritualists. When the person rejects the goal, but continues to use legitimate means. For example, I might be saying that I don't think that being financially successful is the way to be happy, or I'm not going to be working towards that, but I'm okay to go to school. I will have education. I'm going to be living within the limits of culturally approved norms, but I'm not going to be working towards being successful financially or being rich. So these persons will go through daily routines without any concern for the quality of their work. Our next group are retreatists. This is when both legitimate means and illegitimate means are rejected. This person is not successful by either means, and they don't really seek success. They reject both the goal and the means, such as like the people who are living in isolation of the forest, and they don't accept the culturally approved goals, and they don't really approve the cultural means, but they don't replace these with anything else. They are just living in isolation. And then these are again another deviant group. The last one are the rebellious. Rebellion one, again, they are both what they do. They reject the culturally approved means. They reject the culturally approved goal, but what they do, which is different than the ritualists, they replace them with the new goals. Retreatists, they replace them with the new goals and the new means. They substitute new set of goals and means, and KKK can be a good example for this, okay? Our next theorist who studied and thought about why the deviance is happening are the opportunity theorists. According to Richard Clover and Lloyd Olin, for deviance to occur, people must have access to illegitimate opportunity structures, right? Otherwise, so people should be able to have some access to the deviance and deviant behavior or the structures. Circumstances that provide an opportunity for people to acquire through illegitimate activities what they cannot achieve through legitimate channels. And our next theory is control theory. According to control theory, especially Travis Hershey, conformity to social norms depends on the bond between individual and the society. So if there is a strong bond between the society and the individual, those individuals are not going to be involved in any deviant behavior. But if there is not any bond between the society and the individual, those people are most likely going to be involved in a deviant behavior. Our next theory is differential association theory. They say that the more we're exposed to people who break the law, the more apt we are breaking the law ourselves. So if I grow up in an environment where a lot of people are being involved in a deviant behavior, such as like drug dealership, right, then it's going to be a lot more normal to me, and I'm most probably going to be involved in a deviant behavior or drug dealership compared to the people who is never exposed to the drug dealer or drug dealing ship. So it's more about the environment that we grew up with is going to be determining whether we're going to be involved in a deviant behavior or not. Our next theory is labeling theory. They say that two people who break the same norm may be labeled differently. For example, a male having multiple sex partners compared to a female having multiple sex partners. So the label totally makes a lot of change. Also, labeling theory, what they say, if a person has a label on them already, right? If I grow up in a drug dealer family, and if I already have this label on my family and on my last name about drug dealership, I'm most likely going to be involved in drug dealership than the person who doesn't label on them. Symbolic interactionists, they see that they are very similar to differential association theory. The environment that we grew up with, the people that we are interacting with, to have a very big important influence on us that whether we're going to be involved in a deviant behavior, whether we think that that behavior is normal or not. Criminologist Ronald Akers has combined differential association theory with elements of psychological learning theory to create differential reinforcement theory. What he said, deviant behavior and conventional behavior are learned through the same social processes. Social bond theory holds that probability of deviant behavior increases when a person's ties to society are weakened or broken. Social bonding consists of attachment to other people, commitment to conformity, involvement in conventional activities, belief in the legitimacy of conventional values and the norms. Labeling theory states that deviants are those people who have been successfully labeled as such by others. As I just talked about it. We have a lot of examples for it. Certain racial groups or ethnic groups already have the label on them. And even if they are not being involved in criminal behavior, just because of label on them, they are most likely going to be committing that deviant behavior. How about our conflict theorists? How do they explain the deviance? According to the conflict theorists, people in positions of power maintain their advantage by using laws to protect their own interests, right? According to the conflict theorists, the limited access, we have certain social groups. They have more access to the resources and the power, and we have another social group. They have limited access to the resources and the power. The ones who have more access to the power and the resources, they are also the ones who make the rules and regulations, which really help them to escape from the penalty if they are being involved in crime. According to this approach, the ways laws are made and enforced benefits the capitalist class by ensuring that individuals at the bottom of the social class structure do not infringe on the property or threaten the safety of those at the top. So they really make sure that really, even if they are being involved in a criminal behavior, they are not really being punished by that. According to our postmodernists such as like Foucault, the intertwining nature of power, knowledge, and social control is the nexus in which deviance and crime are defined, right? The definition of the crime is highly related with the intertwinement of the power, knowledge, and the social control. In explaining prisons, Foucault uses the concept of panopticon, a structure that his prison officials the possibility of complete observation over criminals at all times to demonstrate social control. And this is what he means with panopticon, right? That's how the social control happens in the prisons, right? It is so important to know that the United States has the highest number of inmates in the prisons compared to any other countries in the world. And the social control system and criminal justice system in the United States is very strict. How about crime classifications and the statistics? Crimes are divided into felonies and misdemeanors based on the seriousness of the crime. Sociologists categorize crimes based on how they are committed and how society views the offenses. Conventional or street crimes is all violent crime, certain property crimes, and certain moral crimes. Occupational or white-collar crime are illegal activities committed by people in the course of their employment or financial affairs, such as the corruption or fraud can be a good example for these white-collar crimes. Corporate crime is an illegal act committed by corporate employees on behalf of the corporation and with its support. For example, the oil leak happened by BP in the ocean is a corporate crime. That was a negligence by the corporates, and all the oil leak polluted the whole ocean, and a lot of people and a lot of the nature in itself suffered from this crime. Organized crime is a business operation that supplies illegal goods and services for profit. Political crime refers to illegal or unethical acts involving the usurpation of power by government officials, or illegal unethical acts perpetrated against the government by outsiders seeking to make a more political statement, attempting to undermine or overthrow the government. For example, like Holocaust can be a good example for the political crime, and also the military coups are the political crimes against the government or the states. Official crime statistics such as those found in the uniform crime report provide important information on crime. However, the data reflect on only those crimes have been reported to the police. In the United States, only 45% of the crimes are being reported. 55% of the crimes are not being reported. And the United States is one of the main countries where the criminal justice system works properly, but still a lot of crimes are not being reported, such as like domestic violence, right? A lot of assaults, abuse, they are not being reported at all. Crime statistics do not reflect many crimes committed by persons of professional economic status in the course of business because they are handled by administrative or quasi-judicial bodies. How about gender and crime? This is so interesting because when we look at the statistics, when we look at the statistics of the inmates in the United States, 94% of the inmates are male, just 6% of the inmates are female, which is a huge gap. When we look at the data, the three most common arrest categories for both men and women are driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, larceny, and minor criminal mischief type of offenses. Liquor law violations such as underage drinking, simple assault, and disorderly conduct are middle-range offenses for both men and women. The rate of arrest for murder, arson, and embezzlement are relatively low for both men and women. There is a proportionately greater involvement of men in major property crimes and violent crimes. When we look at age and crime, arrest rates for index crimes are highest for people between the ages of 13 and 25, with the most 16 and 17. Rest of arrests are higher for men than women. Individuals from all classes, they all commit crimes, but simply the people who are in the lower socioeconomic backgrounds are more likely to be arrested for violent and property crimes. Only a very small proportion of individuals who commit white-collar worker crimes will ever be arrested and convicted. In 2010, whites accounted for 64% of all arrests for index crimes. And in 2010, whites constitute about 66% of all arrests for property crimes and more than 59% of arrests for violent crimes. African Americans account for over 30% of arrests for violent crimes and 31% of arrests for property crimes. And arrest records tend to produce overgeneralizations about who commits crime because arrest statistics are not an accurate reflection of the crimes actually committed in our society. Men, this is interesting too, although we always think that women are the victims of the crimes, actually men, young men are the ones who are usually the most victims of the crimes as well. The burden of robbery victimization falls heavily more on men than women, African Americans than other races, and young people than elderly people. How about the criminal justice system, which includes the police, courts, and the prisons? The system is a collection of bureaucracies. The system possesses considerable discretion, right? Such as in regards to, why we have more females than more males in the prisons is mainly because of the courts and the judges' discretion. Most of the judges are thinking that women, if they have children or if they are single mom, they are being given a lot lighter punishment than men. So criminal justice system has very much heavily based on a lot of discretion as well. Punishment is any action designed to deprive a person of the things of value, including liberty, because of something that the person is thought to have done. Disparate treatment of the poor, people of color, and women is evident in the prison system. The medicalization of deviance is transformation of deviance into a medical problem that requires a treatment by a physician. For many years, capital punishment or the death penalty has been used in the United States, and there are a lot of execution happened since 1930s in the United States. And you can see from here the discretionary power in law enforcement. So what to do with the crime? As I said, the United States has the highest number of inmates in the prisons. And most of these, the inmates in the prisons are usually committing secondary deviance. So they commit crime again and they come back. And what we can really do in order to lower the crime rate, it is important to work with people before they become juvenile offenders. so as to help them establish family relationship, right? What we saw, if the bond between the society and the individual is stronger, they are less likely commit the deviant behavior and crime than the people whose bond is even weaker. As long as racism, sexism, and the class system and ageism exist in our society, people will see deviant behavior and commit crime as well. Let's look at the global economy, the global criminal economy. You know, while we have national level crimes, we also have the global level crimes too, such as like networking of powerful criminal organizations and their associations. Shared activities around the world is relatively new phenomena because globalization is new, and then we also see the global level of the crimes as well. Recent studies have concluded that reducing global crime will require a global response, including the cooperation of law enforcement, right? Because sometimes, you know, some of the issues might be a crime in one country but not a crime in another country. So it is so important in regards to, especially in regards to the human rights issues or violations, so important to be able to be on the same page and to make sure that those global crimes are reduced and stopped as well. We also have lastly positive deviance, which is an approach to behavioral and social change based on the observation that in any community there are people whose uncommon but successful behaviors or strategies enable them to find better solutions to a problem better than their peers, like, you know, civil rights movements, right? What happened with the Rosa Parks and what she did? What she did was a positive deviance. It was a deviant behavior at that time, but it really saved a lot of people and brought up a lot of the novelties to the society. And I have a little video about the positive deviance from a TED Talk. Please watch it, and you can have a better understanding of the positive deviance. That's the end of this presentation about the deviance, and you know, this is just like one of the topics that I was planning to cover today. Let me know if you have any questions. At this time, I can just turn this off. Again, as you see, the exam is already here under this week. Please make sure you take your time and take the exam. This is your second exam, and then we're going to have our third exam in April. Then we're going to be done, and we're going to have our finals. Continue posting your answers to my discussion questions every week. Do you guys have any questions? You can write on the chat box. If you have any questions, I can answer it. If not, we can is there any makeup assignment? There is not any makeup assignment, but you know, these assignments are open. You can submit them at any time. Do you mean for the tests? What you should do to improve your grades?
Yeah, if we miss more, like if we didn't miss, I mean, if we got a bad grade in one assignment, what should we do?
You know what? I mean, there are a lot of opportunities for this class to make good grade. Discussion questions are great, and you do those extra credits. A class divided into American families.
We're gonna give
the assignments. And there is also the you know, your own assignments, right? About
yes.
That's a big portion of your overall grade. So don't worry about your exams. Let me open up the screen. Okay. Okay, let me see. I'll just open up this syllabus. Just give me a second. Come on, share my screen. Okay. Yes. See, the exams, each one is 44 points, but your assignment is 52 points. I'm usually very generous about this assignment. It's going to be a couple of minutes interview, like the video interview. So you're going to be uploading. I'm going to be opening up an assignment box now on a model. Make sure you do this well, and you do your discussions well, and then get the full points from them. And you're attending the webinar, so you're going to have the full credit from the one. And then if you do well on your final, you're going to be good. What I'm going to do after your exam and you submit your assignments, we can look at your progress. And if anything needed, so we can talk about it one by one to make sure that you're going to be doing well.
Okay, perfect.
Is that good?
Yes, perfect. And for the final, it's going to be on the 12th, May 12th, as you posted in Moodle.
Let me see what I put. Your final is going to be open on the May 10th all the way to May 12th. Yes. On the Moodle. Yes.
All right.
There are going to be 50 questions online. The same thing, the multiple choice questions.
Right. So one more thing, I'm sorry. When are you going to post our grades for the discussion and assignment or the cynical?
Yeah, I am already grading. I did a lot of them today.
Because if you post it during April, we can improve it if we have something to do.
In regards to the discussions?
Yeah, or something for the assignment. Basically, I would like to know my grade early.
You want your grade, yeah. Can you see your grades? I mean, as of now, you should be able to see your first exam. Yeah, the discussion, right?
Not all of them. So the discussion, I don't really know. Should I reply? How many? Like, sometimes I do. Sometimes
Yeah, the basic requirement in order to get the full credit, at least like you should reply my question.
Yes, I know.
As long as you reply my question, you'll get 4 points. That's what you need to. I mean, if you reply to your friends, I'm gonna consider them at the end of the semester. I'm gonna be looking at it, how much you participated, right? It's gonna be considering it a participation grade, which is 10%. Let's look at, right? It is, yeah, and it is going to be affecting your overall grade. So I'm going to be using my own discretion and increase your grade if you really like reply to your friends and if you are being an active responders in those assignments.
Yeah, I do that, but I'm just curious if you're going to post the grade before the final so we can see our grade. So if we have something missing,
yeah.
Prove it. That's it.
Yeah, I am grading. Yeah, I am grading. I graded most of your discussions already.
Perfect. All right.
And then don't forget, actually, that's my another announcement. Your intercultural assignment is due on April 7th.
April 7th, yeah. I checked that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's something easy, so it's just an interview. And it is 52 points. It's a good point. It's a good portion. Just make sure you do well on that, too.
May you please send us a message or even an email telling us you post a new assignment or a new discussion?
Email?
I have to check Moodle first so I can see it.
Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah, you can do that.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Is there any other question, guys?
No. Thank you so much. I'm fine.
You're welcome. That's okay. Any other question?